with the jungler, making the plays, and that's what I want to see from the supports.
Now on the other side, it's really different. We talk about multiple carry threats coming in. On the opposite side for Splyce, it feels like it's all about Kabe. It is the Kabe show. They build around this guy, they play around this guy. Talk to me about him.
Well, I'm surprised how amazingly Kobe plays in the late game, and everyone knows that, and even Kobe. You can see on his playstyle that he believes in himself, he truly does. And when he gets to late game, he will carry his team. And we saw it over and over again, where he just gets the Zillion support. Kessing is there for him to hold him, and then Kobe just jumps in aggressively, kills everyone, and just goes ham. Does the most damage out of all the 80 carries in LCS right now.
He's like a walking hyper carry montage, going up against another potential walking hyper carry montage. But the interesting thing about this matchup stylistically, you can see both these guys are incredibly talented in their own respective roles, is Vitality are so aggressive early, and Splyce, they always play for late. So how does Splyce actually get through the early game in this matchup?
That is a really good question, and I don't know. Honestly, Splyce have to find something how to survive the early game, because Vitality, they're amazing early game team. But then again, if Vitality decides to play a late game comp like we saw before, and they might, because you know they're the cocky team of Europe, so they might be like, all right, let's challenge the kings of late game. Let's pick a late game comp and then do it. That might be the victory for Splyce.
I want to find out. I want to see them kind of go toe-to-toe with late game. We'll see what strategy exactly they want to pull out. But in the meantime, be sure to give us your highlight reel for this week's games. You can head over to @LOLesports on Twitter and send in your big plays using the hashtag EULCS. You can check them out in the EULCS post-game lobby at the end of the day. Well, we're almost ready for Splyce versus Vitality, but first let's take a look at the game day through the eyes of the Italian stallion himself, Vitality's Jizuke.
My family, they didn't really wanted me to play. They told me all the time to stop. I don't talk to them often, not even a little. Thank you. I did all this thing, as Gilius would say, hard mode, without a home to go. I'm doing this for myself, not for my family. Actually, serious, so much jet lag last?
I think
it's like 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah, good crowd. This is the way we play it. This is what we're looking for. This needs to happen. A lot of responsibility on YouTube about the scope, yeah? Especially you, Jizuke, yeah? I want everyone to be on the same page. Very important. The way you bridge the gap, we are not superhumans, we are not connected with cables. The way we bridge the gap is through talking. Very important. All right, boys, get in here.
Let's line up for this fucking day, and we are fucking competent, fucking confident, and we're confident because we're fucking competent, and we fucking believe in what we do, yeah? So fucking put your hands in here, and on fucking 3, 1, 2, 3.
My brother is 4 years older than me. He supported me from the very start, and I love him for that. His dream was to be a pro player as well. Actually, the name Jizuke, it's his name. I'm keeping this name for him so he can be with me.
The new guys on the block, Vitality. They go up against the team that holds the most titles in the EU LCS, Fnatic. That will be the question if Jizuke can deal a blow or two to Caps and if he can change this game.
We are heading into champion select. Is he looking for Ryze or Azir?
Oh, Ryze is you want to play Ryze? I think Ryze is the shit, man.
Yeah.
It's on us now. So early game. How is bot matchup? How is mid matchup? How is top matchup? Give me everyone.
It's an Italian rookie right here. He loves the crowd, people cheering when something's happening, and he loves the extra pressure.
Quickly, Caps is in trouble. Zuki looking for the outplay. He wants one. Might just look for two. He's feeling himself. I can hear him hollering on stage. He wants one more. And he's got outplay.
Amazing. Camping for Jizuke in the early game.
We have to split. We don't win teamfight. We have to split. Remember, we have right
I want to steal.
I get this. Against Fnatic, they were going Elder Drake. I made the call to go end the game.
They go end, they end.
Okay.
Look for TP. So I just ult the minions and I called Cabo. I say, TP, trust me, TP.
He's going to take them over there.
Let's go end, Lucian, TP.
Go ahead.
TP, Lucian,
Caps is holding on for dear life, but he pushes him back. Is this the moment? Proxo wants to turn it back.
MVP of the game.
And I'm really happy that my call was followed. I felt great, and I want every day that I play LCS to be like that. I hope I will perform like I did against Fnatic every day that I will play. I think our strength is our willpower. We want the same thing, and we can make it happen.
Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Medic Chamberlain, joined by Andrew Vedieste, and we're here to lead you into Splyce versus Vitality.
It was wonderful to hear from Jizuke, supporting with his brother. The name, didn't even know that. That's absolutely wonderful to hear. This guy has had a fantastic performance, and he's going to be going up against Splyce today in what will be a very exciting matchup.
Well, let's take a look at the teams facing off on the Rift. On the blue side first, we have Splyce. And Splyce have been, I don't want to say carried, but they've definitely been on the shoulders of their AD carry, Koba, throughout the last few weeks.
Well, I feel like after yesterday's performance, we didn't see so much of a reliance on Kobe, and while he certainly had a strong performance as he usually does on this roster, we saw a little bit more focus towards the top side of the map. The Twisted Fate coming out from Niski, we saw Odo on Akari and Camille. And I feel like the team seems to be a little bit more proactive in how they're looking to play. They're not entirely reliant on their AD carry as much as they were in previous weeks.
Still very much a late game team, though. On the opposite side of the Rift, it is the team at the top of the EU LCS of Vitality. And there are so many different guys you could highlight on this team. Vedias, I'm going to make you pick just one.
Just one? Well, for me, it's got to be Gilius right now. This guy was extremely active in the early game, even when Vitality ran more of a scaling composition. He was looking to make a lot of the plays, and while, yes, his smites were not that great yesterday, he got the last laugh, and he said, let it be known that no one steals a Baron from Gilius 3 times in a single game.
Was able to secure that in the end. And as we wait to get into picks and bans, it feels very much like the matchup between a team that wants to go to the late game and a team that is very proactive in the early here with Vitality.
Well, I feel like that after yesterday's games, we saw a slight shift for both teams, because for Splyce, they showed that they wanted to be a little bit more proactive using the Twisted Fate ult the moment they hit level 6 to try and find these picks, and they didn't actually end up dropping a kill against H2K. They were able to have a very clean, calculated, strong early game and transition that into a successful win. Vitality, though, they drafted much more towards the later game. We saw the Azir, we saw the Varus, we saw the Gangplank, and they were able to hold the line, but they were pushed back. Roccat made them work for that win, and they said afterwards, we were not happy. So I wonder if either of these teams are going to revert back to the style that they've found success with, or if we're going to see this continuous change from both these teams.
I have to wait and see. Bans coming out thick and fast as Splyce remove the Jarvan, Kalista, and Arise away from Team Vitality. And Camille and Tahm Kench are the first 2 bans from Vitality. They also take Zac out of the champion pool.
This will mean that Splyce have first pick, and immediately they're going to pick up a strong jungler in the form of Sejuani. Xerxes has shown more confidence on it after yesterday's game, and I feel like that right now she is considered the strongest still in the current meta.
So if you're Vitality, how do you answer this? It looks like it's going to be the Jax. Could, of course, still be a top lane Jax instead of the jungle Jax.
I feel, wow. Vitality is just insta-locking both jungle and mid right on this rotation. I don't know, because Vitality always do weird stuff. Expectations are that Gilius will be playing the Jax in the jungle. I've heard that he is considered to be very good into many tanks because he can freely farm, he will outscale. Gilius believes after chatting with him that Jax can be much better in teamfights than a lot of people give him credit for. But we can talk more about it when we get into the game. Right now it feels like Vitality kind of edging towards more of a 1-3-1 playstyle, whereas Splyce already setting up for a nice siege teamfight kind of style of comp.
That's a late game composition coming out from Splyce if ever I've seen one. With the Caitlyn and the Azir locked in, it will be Niski's 4th game on Azir. Only won 1 of those 3 thus far. Jizuke is going to lock in the Zoe for himself. Has played incredibly well on that mid lane burst mage.
A lot of mid laners consider the Zoe to be a good matchup into the Azir. And now we move on to the second roll of bans. I feel like Vitality have to ban away the Zilean. We've seen before what Kobe and Kinsing can do when they get that duo. In the mid game, it is so strong because you just speed up your AD carry and the enemy team have very few answers to it. I wonder if Vitality are going to show that respect or if they're going to have some kind of answer for it for the side of Kinsing.
Well, Kinsing's yet to lose on the Zilean, has been up and he's picked Janna before, so it's not his only support. He is very adept at mixing it up in the bottom lane, but both Janna and Zilean go very well with that Caitlyn. Is an Ornn ban alongside the Gnar from Vitality, a Jinx ban from Splyce, And they're looking at their final ban. Might just want to narrow their AD carry pool even more.
I imagine that this will likely be a Varus ban towards me Truepax, but it could also be the Tristana if they want to try and mitigate some of the wave clear on the side of Vitality, because right now that is what they are lacking. Zoe, yes, during the laning phase, she clears waves relatively well, and into the later game, she can be pretty effective at clearing out those caster minions, but paired up with the Gangplank, they seem to be able to hold their own, and we'll see what Vitality round things out. They want to try and give... I'm not a massive fan of this. I guess they're expecting Splyce to go for range support, and if they do go for the Zillion, then maybe they can go for an all-in kind of bot lane where you have the Thresh and say something like a Tristana or a Varus. And then Splyce, what kind of answer will they go for? Given that Braum could be a very safe pick, it would fit nicely up against the Thresh, but I feel like that's not something Kasing really wants to run here.
It's not usually something he runs. It is going to be Vladimir in the top lane to try and answer to that Gangplank. Would not be surprised at all if this Zillion does get locked in, gives Splyce some more late game scaling, works well with the Vladimir as well. That is a very strong composition if Splyce do decide to go there, and Vitality will be searching for an AD carry to answer that.
It's also a very traditional Splyce comp, scale towards the late game. You do have some pretty cool stuff that you can do with the Zillion, Caitlyn combo, but they're going to show the respect. They don't want to run the risk of the all-in bot lane, and we see the innovation from Vitality. A Ziggs AD carry, Medic. We have not seen this since last year.
No, we haven't, and I'm trying to think if we've... I think we saw it banned out in one game earlier on in the split. I'm sure we'll find out from the stats team, but Ziggs AD carry is just not something we commonly see. I guess you've got a lot of AD on the rest of your team with the Gangplank and the Jack, so you don't need to worry about your mixed damage too much, but that is a strong pushing bot lane here for Vitality.
I've got to be honest, Medic. The combo of Ziggs and Thresh is definitely a unique one. I think they're looking to try and match the early pressure that Caitlyn can throw out. Because she is known for being a lane bully, the composition that they've drafted is excellent at sieging and pushing towers, but also the mid to late game team fights. The thing about Vitality is now, with the Ziggs, they have so much wave clear at their disposal, sieging becomes a lot harder for the side of Splyce. That's what I think they've gone for. But during the early levels, Caitlyn will still have that power. It's only until the Lost Chapter is completed on the Ziggs where he'll really be able to match that kind of wave clear and wave push. But this is very unique. You just look at the comp, Splyce, very traditional team fighting. They have disengage with both Azir and Braum, but they have engaged with the Sejuani, and the Braum can act as an effective follow-up. Flanking with the Vladimir, loads of AoE damage. But for Vitality, they've gone for much more of a split push kind of comp. They've got a little bit of everything with their composition. And we can talk more about it as we jump into the game, but we were expecting this to be an exciting one, Medic, and I feel like they're setting us up for that.
I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Some odd picks, to say the least, but as we get onto the Summoner's Rift, I think we really need to break down these compositions in earnest, Bedius. We talked about Splyce, we talked about the fact they have team fighting, they've got good disengage, they've got good engage as well. Let's not focus on Splyce right now. Let's focus on what Vitality are trying to do. Ziggs Thresh bot lane, Zoe in the mid, Jax in the jungle, and the Gangplank top. And if I look at this composition, if this was a solo queue game, I would be saying, where's our tank? Where's our tankiness on this team?
Yes, right now they kind of lack a front line. You would imagine that Gilius goes towards the full tank itemization. We do often see a lot of Cinderhawks coming out early from the Jax. And once we are able to bring up the runes a little bit later on, we can see what kind of item, rune choice he's decided to go for, because I've seen a couple of variations in terms of the fleet footwork, press the attack. You may even choose to change things up and go for an unsealed spellbook, depending on what it is. But the reason why Jax is considered good into tank junglers typically is because, number one, he out-skirmishes them early. He has a lot of early damage. His E is really good at extended trades because you naturally have that stun, you mitigate a lot of the damage, and it means that you can fight for a lot of early objectives. He's also free to farm. He never has to worry about an enemy jungler invading him, and because he wants to build a Trinity Force, having the freedom to just get that gold income consistently means that you hit your power spike sooner, and you will still be relevant once the mid-game comes around. And I feel like when you look at the mid-game spike of this entire comp, it's actually pretty strong for Vitality. The Trinity Force for Gangplank, Trinity Force for Jack, Jizuke, well, I mean, you only really need like half an item to deal damage on the Zoe, and we know that this guy is known to be lane dominant and even solo killed out Senkux in this matchup specifically. And then when you tie that all in with a Ziggs, who is likely going to go for a very early Morellonomicon, you have a decent mid-game spike, but for Vitality, I feel like the clearer strategy here is you send Gilius off to a side lane, you send Cabo off to the other side lane, and then you just provide wave clear in the mid and poke threat with the Zoe and the Ziggs. I think that'll be their late-game strategy, but they do have a mid-game spike that they can look to play around.
Gilius is looking down towards the bottom lane here. Kobe and Kasing not pushed up too far. Flash play into the hook as well from Jack Trolling. That comes down. They're looking for the kill on Kobe. Can they get the first blood? They secure it. Vitality go 1-0 up.
Already looking for the proactive plays right from the get-go. Gilius takes the red, does the Raptors 2, gets the level 2, and just immediately comes bot. This whole gank was beautifully done from Vitality. No, Jack Troll flashes in, gets the flay, times it with the counter-strike from Gilius to land the stun. That allows them to then land the hook, and while a lot of flashes had to be used, Vitality secure themselves first blood.
And what a statement of intent from Gilius, because earlier on today, Xerxes said, I see all those wins you've had, Gilius, they've really gone to your head, you're about to get a reality check. Well, Gilius brings down the hammer in that bottom lane and gives a reality check to Splyce. He also he replied to Xerxes in a very less formal manner than this. It was a little bit BM than saying the last thing I expected was a cocky tweet from the Splyce jungler.
Well, so far, it is first point to Gilius as he secures a successful bottom gank. And this is great for Vitality because remember we were just talking about the early lost chapter. That is insanely early for Mini Trupax. 3.5 minutes into the game and he's already got this item completed. And it sets us up so nicely to talk about these 280 carries more.
Nisqy trying to trade aggressively here onto Jizuke because he took a lot of damage from that paddle star. Mini Trupax switched to the teleport, has unsealed spell, but came back down to that bottom lane. And we have to see how these 280 carries are going to play up into each other. Mini Trupax, the marksman Ziggs, Komi, looking to scale up for the late game. Doesn't have the ardent sensor support that we've seen him have recently. The two of them do match up incredibly well in terms of how well they've carried their teams throughout the last few weeks.
Yeah, and it's really important that you recognize that as well, Medic, because we look at Kobe and we argue that he is the most consistent performer on this Splyce roster. He has been over the last few weeks, and he's kind of been the individual that Splyce have relied upon. Just look at his kill participation and the damage percentage that he has been able to throw out. This guy is a huge contributor to the success of Splyce. And then you converse that across the board. That's a little different for Mini Trupax.
Yeah, Mini Trupax, although he's got a high KDA, doesn't really do that much of his team's damage, doesn't really participate in that many kills. Kasing's going to get knocked back here in the bottom lane, but he should be safe. And although Mini Trupax has a high KDA, Vedius, his other numbers don't look quite as good.
It's almost like that he's playing towards his KDA or something.
There must be a name for that.
I don't know, man.
A player who prioritizes his KDA stat, I think, is a usual name for that.
That's the common terminology. But so far this game, Vitality have said, you know what? We know you play a lot around your AD carry, so we're going to come up with a counter strat, and we're going to invest into camping your bottom lane. They early rotated the Thresh because they expected a ranged support, and now they've come up with the Ziggs to counteract the Caitlyn. They invested in early gank, got himself a very early lost chapter. He now has more than enough mana to continue the push, combined with the minion dematerializer. And now Vitality, with a Ziggs Thresh bot lane, are on track to take first tower bot away from a Caitlyn.
And you have to remember how good Ziggs is at taking towers as well. You can siege with the bouncing bombs, with the explosive minefield, and then you can use the satchel charge to get that final chunk of damage down on towards the tower itself. So we'll have to see if Vitality are able to utilize that in the bottom lane. They have a 1,000 gold lead, only 6 minutes in. CS lead in that bottom lane. The knockback onto Jizuke. The sleep comes out. For a paddle star, Gilius is on the way as well. Nisqy needs to try and get away from this. The paddle star connects. One more auto would be enough. Xerxes here with the block. Jizuke jumps in. That's a great kill for Vitality.
Nisqy, he couldn't commit to the 1v1 because Gilius showed up. He didn't have his flash, but he didn't need it because Jizuke took away Nisqy's flash as he ran away from Gilius. So a combined effort there from the jungle and mid of Vitality, but already off to a flying start as they have their eyes set on that first bottom tower and that first Drake of the game.
fastest first tower of the split as well. Let's have another look at this because Nisqy seems to be winning the trade.
I like the aggression here from Nisqy. He's on track to get the solo kill, but a sleep return from Jizuke buys enough time to allow Gilius to show up. Nisqy unfortunately has to walk into the Palace Star. If he had flashed a little earlier, maybe he could have made it. But then look at that from Jizuke. The double flash guarantees the kill. And again, the excitement on the young Italian.
It looked more like a yawn to me. He can play this lane in his sleep, it would seem. Odo Amne and Cabochard, not really too much going on in that top lane. A small CS advantage for Odo on the Vlad. It's the first time he's played this in the EU LCS, so excited to see how impactful he can be in the late game, but Vitality do not want Splyce to get anywhere near that. They are aiming for this mid-game spike.
And they're on track to get it. You can see Kobe yet to go back, hasn't spent any of the gold, whereas Mini Trupax has TP up and available. And right now he's well on his way to completing an insanely early Morello Nomicon. I wonder if he's also running the Futures Market to help get those early items as well, because I feel that that's contributing a lot to getting these early items and reaching that spike. So already level 6 now for both Jack Troll and Trupax, securing the first Infernal, and now we should start to see them group mid and start using this Ziggs to apply pressure onto Nisqy. And you can just send Jizuke down bot. You can just catch some of the farm, maybe he looks for a couple of roams. Vitality, they have a wealth of options available to them right now to keep the pace of the game going.
Infernal Drake goes over towards Vitality as well. It's just so quick, so speedy. It looks like Mini Trupax is coming up towards top instead of going mid. Another viable strategy can push forwards that top lane. Cabochard with the Relic Shield gives a little bit of gold over to Mini Trupax as well. And if you're Splyce in this situation, there's not really a huge amount you can do to answer. You need to scale. You don't really have any way of dealing with this push from Vitality.
The goal from Splyce here was to utilize the pushing power of Caitlyn and with the Braum into whatever matchup they expected and just slowly work their way towards that bottom tower, have the rest of their composition farm up. They knew that they had the late game scaling threat and ability to team fight. They could use the Baron as a means to force the fight as well. But instead what's happened is it's been completely flipped on its head. Vitality have done what they always do, which is come up with these innovative strategies, catch teams completely off guard, and they're now on their way to securing another insanely early tower. Now remember, we saw this kind of a play versus Misfits from Vitality, and then they ended up throwing at Baron. So now we have to see the growth from Vitality. Can they use this lead and turn it into a successful snowball?
We are 2 weeks on from that, of course, and Vitality since then have picked up win after win. 6-1, top of the table at the moment in the EU LCS as we crest towards the halfway mark. They are looking incredibly strong. Nisqy's going to jump in here once again. Xerxes with the stun, but the cleanse immediately from Jizuke as he tries to get away. There's the cannon barrage as well, and Jizuke has escaped. Only burning one summoner.
Still has his flash available too, while Splyce lose their top lane tower. And as you rightly said, like, there's very little that Splyce can do. They just have to hold the line for now. You would imagine that Vitality, after taking that top tier 1, would go towards the Rift Herald, but Jack Troll, he's looking for a play.
Jack Troll on this Thresh. A signature champion for him. Jizuke's going to jump forward, takes the portal back. Gilius there with the counter-strike as well to distract Nisqy and Xerxes. And Jack Troll comes in from the side as well. Kasing not going to land the Winter's Bite, and Vitality will retreat. 10 minutes in Vidius, they have a 4,000 gold lead or near enough. And alongside it, they are building up towards this mid-game spike incredibly quickly.
And the problem I have, Medic, is I had all these points prepped because when in Splyce games, you normally get really long. You know, they've now been involved in like 2 of the 3 longest games of the split. Vitality played a really long game yesterday, so I thought we'd have to fill. But now Vitality have just blown all that out of the water. They're nearing a 4,000 gold lead. They are not slowing down in terms of the pressure across the map. And they're continuing to stumble. Remember that this gameplay also running Kleptomancy. He's going even with the Vladimir right now, and that's going to be an extra source of gold. Just look at the gold difference right now through some of the metrics.
There's 1,600 gold between Mini Trupax and Cobber on this Caitlyn. He's just not scaling up at all. There's 700 gold in the mid lane. There's an 800 gold lead in the top lane as well. This is just absolutely monumental for Vitality, and they are in such a strong position right now. Rift Herald on the cards for them. Infernal Drake up next. They're opening up the map. They're getting some vision control. Vitality seem to be entirely in command of this game.
Because the goal now for Vitality is to take this mid-tier 1 and then use the Rift Herald to take the tier 2, because against Splyce's comp, it is very challenging to Siege. There's a lot of wave clear and a lot of pick potential that this composition has from things like the Sejuani, a stray Brawn Q or an ulti engage can act as a means to catch Vitality off guard. But then on the same side, for Splyce, it's going to get harder and harder. Oh, he's just immediately using it.
I think that's an accident because I see Jizuke laughing.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure Gilius maybe he wanted to sweep before he picked it up and then just forgot that he actually had the VIT hold, which he just picked up. Even gods make mistakes.
Okay,
and
so
that was this is important though because it slows Vitality down.
Yeah,
let's bring it back because it slows Vitality down a lot. Not getting this mid lane tower, not being able to break a tier 2 with that Rift Herald actually delays their game plan by quite a lot.
Yes, it does, because you know that if you just keep the Ziggs mid, he's already proven in 2 lanes now that he can outpush the Caitlyn, just force her out of lane through the amount of poke and harassment that he does have. Also, the ability to very quickly take these towers down with the passive on Zig, along with the W, the Satchel Charge, makes these towers effectively nothing in his little destruction path. But it's fascinating because by losing that Rift Herald, as you rightly said, it will allow Splyce to buy a little bit more time. They can wait a little bit longer to get to that scaling point, then they can feel confident forcing fights. But again, like, the big issue that they're going to have is actually trying to find these engages, because remember, not too long ago, Splyce played up against G2, where G2 were the ones that had the Zoe. And with good positioning and threat, you can effectively make it impossible for the enemy to engage upon you by switching all of your summoner spells to cleanse, and then also just utilizing the Zoe pokes that every time the enemy comes near, oh, look, you've lost half your health. And that's facilitated by a Ziggs as well. Let's see if he gets out of this. Oh, cleanse. Gets out of that one. Engage faulted. Now Splyce have to wait long.
So what I think we should do, Vedius, is until all the cleansers are down, you can just cast the whole game by yourself. And when they're down, I'll be like, oh, maybe something's going to happen.
Yes.
But until that point, I think Vitality are relatively safe. Gilius here, a level advantage over Xerxes. He's definitely been in command of the jungle thus far, but the game has slowed a little bit. Infernal Drake on the cards here. You can see Vitality trying to get vision control around the river. Splyce realized that they might want to try and do something. They know Mini Trupax doesn't have the cleanse, and Xerxes' ultimate is on its way back off cooldown.
Vitality. Man, they're always so fun to watch. They always do something new. I remember Yamato saying on the podcast, I never get out-draft. I always have plan. I don't know why he's a little Russian, but this is one of those things where people try to, he says, think of a curveball and think of where you've come up with a strat. And I feel like this was a very clearly defined plan that Vitality have, with the blind pick Thresh as an answer to the range supports, with the Ziggs as an answer to the Caitlyn, giving away the Sejuani and immediately rotating the Gangplank and the Jax, and then banning away possible bad top lane matchups. Really intelligent draft from Vitality, and it's just making things very difficult in the early game for Splyce.
Second dragon of the game for Vitality, and you can see they are first in Drake share in their games. They take almost 80% of the dragons that spawn. Splyce miles behind, not even cresting the 30% mark. And I want to come back to that point because we talk about Vitality and how they always do something unique and something inventive. And a lot of that comes down to their draft. The fact that they've been on red side for every single game they have played in the EU LCS this split. And a lot of the time they've decided to be on red side as well.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to talk to Yamato about this, and he basically told me it's because he likes the color red. Interesting.
It's a good enough reason.
Yeah,
it's a good enough reason.
But he did give me a little bit more depth, and he said right now many pro teams consider blue to be the superior side. Having first pick makes the most sense. And he just disagrees. He feels that having the counter pick just offers more value, and it seems to certainly be a preference thing that for Vitality is working out heavily in their favor.
Exhaust and Sleep used on Odo. He's going to try and turn back on towards Jizuke here, but that Morello Nomicron putting the mortal wounds down means that Odo cannot heal up as much. Mini Truback's going to try and step forward. There's the Satchel Charge. There's the third turret of the game. And 16 minutes in, Vitality have a 5,000 gold lead.
Look at all the Merc treads on Splyce right now. They are very afraid of Jizuke
and
level 11.
Mini Trupax.
And Mini Trupax.
At level
That's very
10.
true. There is a decent amount of AP coming out. Even from the Jax, he does a decent amount of AP as well. And also the Cinderhulk we were talking about. There's that tank you were looking for in the jungle. Has secured himself that Cinderhulk. Will be working towards the Trinity Force now is what I imagine. And now they've set up the 1-3-1. This is also what we talked about earlier on, Medic, where Vitality Their composition, not really the best at team fighting. You can easily send Jizuke off to a side lane against this kind of matchup because the problem for an Azir is he can't really match inside lane because you don't really want to run TP on him, and he also doesn't have the unsealed spellbook. So they're forced to send the Vladimir against him. And as you can see, he's doing pretty well. Or rather, the Zoe is doing rather well into the Vladimir.
Itemization choice here from Odo Wamne as well to go Proto Belt into the Haunting Guise. We used to see a lot more Spirit Visage. Vladimir could get it, I guess, into the Zoe and into the Ziggs.
Looks like he's just after as much damage as possible because Splyce are playing towards the late game. Remember, that team fight win condition is always available for them, and they're kind of in the position that Misfits were in a few weeks ago, where they're like, we're hoping Vitality make a mistake that allows enough time for us to stall, maybe force a play around Baron. But Vitality securing the Baron is going to be the big turning point that will really lock this game in their favor. And we have seen a few times, Gilius not the most reliable at securing that objective.
Missed it twice against Memento yesterday. Has happened in the past, and Xerxes stolen a Baron or two in his time. The game has slowed down a little bit, partly because of that Rift Herald not being used effectively in the mid lane to get that second tier tower, or in any lane to get the second tier tower. Would have opened up the map a lot more for Vitality, and partly because Splyce have done a good job of controlling vision in their own jungle. A couple of control wards in the top side, a control ward in the bottom side as well, just to let them be a little bit safer. And Cabochard's going to try and engage onto Odo Wamne here. There's some damage back with the Ties of Blood. Odo with the Sanguine Pool and the Hemo Plague will heal back up from this, and Cabo trying to get the barrels to connect, but cannot do so. Odo and Cabo just trading.
Cabo still has the ultimate available too, decided not to use it, and hard commit to the trade. He wants to have that ulti available. And now we'll note how Vitality will start moving into the enemy jungle, start stealing away these buffs. Just UK just sitting off in the side lane, being obnoxious. And the vision has already been set up for him to sit in a side lane. Trupax getting himself a blue buff. Zoe can secure herself her own blue. Vitality have full control over the map right now, and it is limiting the area of the map that Splyce have to play around. And with the Baron spawning in about a minute's time, Splyce feel forced to make a play.
Odo, Ghost, Flash in, looking for the kill on Cabo here, getting his stuff towards the side as well. Counter-strike used, but Cabo's now caught out between three members of Splyce, and he is outmanned by this Splyce lineup. Cabo somehow takes out Odo. He will fall, he almost kills Niski against the double!
Cabochard coming up huge for Vitality. 3 members were sent to shut him down, and they fail. Splyce lose 2, they lose a mid tower, and Vitality keep the momentum up.
More Mortius, the Cabochard there. The shield coming out just did such a great job. Jizuke now can push in the bottom lane because there's no one there to threaten him. Mid lane tower falls as well, and the map just explodes with life as Vitality continue to push forward. Splyce only have 1 kill, yet to take a tower, yet to get any other objectives for themselves. And Vitality are showing us exactly what it means to play at the top of the EU LCS.
Matt, Cabo for a long time has been considered an underwhelming and underperforming top laner. This was supposed to be his meta. He gets to play carries, and just look at how he outplays what is effectively a 1v3. Gilius abandons him. He thinks he's dead. And he is, but he recognizes, I need to get the best case out of this. The barrel that he had set up earlier in the brush was used to catch Splyce off guard. I want to say it was minion damage too, plus the passive of Gangplank allowing the burn onto Niski allowed him to get the double kill and walk away with so many more advantages for the side of Vitality.
20 minutes in, they have a 9,000 gold lead now, Vedius. This is more than most teams get throughout the entirety of a matchup. Vitality, another Infernal Drake coming up. It would be their 3rd. There's Baron on the cards as well, and Splyce look almost hopeless in the face of this Vitality lineup.
I just can't get enough of this draft. Really impressive from Vitality, and they've executed upon it perfectly. This young squad, led at the helm, primarily by Jizuke over the last 2 weeks. All eyes have been on him. But now the whole team feels like it's coming together. They're working so well as a unit. The early ganks from Gilius, the sieging from Mini Trupax and Jacktroll, Cabo with the outplay, while Jizuke just continues to do what he does best, which is perform like the superstar that he is. Vitality, they are really shutting Splyce down.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And they're starting to stack up those items as well. Double Leandre's completed.
Just look at the smiles on the faces of Vitality. You can hear them laughing, you can hear them giggling amongst themselves. They're just such a happy team. They're always in that positive mindset.
There's always a worry with that, because sometimes a little bit of over-eagerness can lead into complacence when you're this far ahead. We saw it happen against Misfits. Splyce do have a strong late game scaling composition, so if Vitality mess up at a Baron, take a bad team fight, miss position slightly, Splyce have ways back into this game. We need to see that growth. We need to see a little bit of maturity here from Vitality as they close out this game.
Patience is key. And Splyce feel they need to try and force something. Flash from Odo.
In with the Hemo Plague as well. Gilius trying to stop him, but the Counter-Strike comes out. And Mini Truebax is dead. There's a Glacial Prism as well. They can turn back onto Gilius because he doesn't have the Counter-Strike. Jackdraw's going to play Odo back, and Jizuke is on his way. There's the box. Odo now can't get away from Gilius. Here comes the Cannon Barrage as well. He goes golden, but Jizuke kills Cobber. And Niski's now going to jump in. We'll get onto Jacktron. He'll kill the Thresh. Looking for Gilius as well. They're chasing him, but Gilius is going to jump away and Blast Cone. He'll escape. And Splyce now 2 for 1 down. Actually 2 for 2 as Mini Truebax died at the start of the fight. But Cabochard is just splitting down in the bottom lane. And Jizuke is trying to stop up towards the top side. The Sleep's going to land onto Niski. So's the Paddle Star, but Kasing here with the Glacial Fissure. Jizuke tries to flash away the cleanse too early. Has the exhaust on Kasing. Going for the Blast Cone. The inhibitor's falling down in that bottom lane. Niski's going to jump the wall, and that will be a dead Jizuke. But Niski goes down as well. And Mini Truebax is here for some vengeance as Kasing will fall eventually to the Hex explosive minefield, and the inhibitor goes down in bot lane as well.
A lot of action happening across the board. Vitality said we've had enough of you controlling over the map. Splyce tried to make a proactive play. Odo comes up huge. But unfortunately, Vitality have an answer. Cabo constantly split pushing in the bottom. He's now TP'd up towards the Baron. And Vitality, they should be able to secure this one unless Cersei can get there in time. I don't think he can.
Yeah, Baron's going to fall here. 3,000 left on it, but no contestation from Splyce at all. Vitality, a Baron, triple Infernal. The first time we've seen that this split. A 12,000 gold lead, and we're only 24 minutes into the game here, Vedius. We said we wanted 8.2 to be quicker. Well, Vitality are showing us exactly how quick it can be.
What an impressive game from Vitality. This is going to be a long replay. So this is where it starts. Odo's like, I'll kill you. And he does not stop chasing. Just see how he runs underneath the tower. Easy pickup onto Mini Truebax. And even in a 1v3, he's just like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. He knows the rest of his team is coming. So look at the mini-map now, because you've got to turn your attention over to the Zoe. Catches a very quick pickup onto Kobe, and the mid lane is able to answer back. Now that Niski finally arrives, they try to go for a chase onto Gilius, but some quick footwork and some smart decision-making allows him to get out. And then Jizuke, unfortunately, gets a little too big for his britches. He thinks that he can get another solo kill. He doesn't respect the positioning of Kasing. And note here, he's going to use a bit of an early cleanse. Fortunately, the CC duration is reduced, seeing as he just used the cleanse. And he almost gets out if it wasn't for the roots there. Now, another fight from Splyce.
Odo chasing onto Gilius here, trying to force him out, but meanwhile in the mid lane, 3 people are pushing in. The 1-3-1 from Vitality well and truly in effect. Habu's going here, Zoe 6, triple Inferno. Dardoch knows exactly what he's talking about. There's just no facing this Vitality lineup. Dragons have been in their favor, but they have taken every last vestige of hope away from this Splyce squad.
Splyce once again looking for another fight.
Fisher goes in, Jackdaw with a good double play. Odo's trying to get the chase in. No Hemo Plague for him as Jackdaw and Mini Truebax able to escape down towards the bottom side. Shurima's legacy comes out as that tower gets put up. Odo's dead. Gilius falls as well though, and Splyce have been able to hold on just to this inhibitor for now. Cabo says, oh no you don't, and he'll take that one down.
Now that's 2 inhibitors down in favor of Vitality. 25 minutes in. Ooh, that was a flash from Jizuke.
Took Kobe out quite a lot, the paddle star connecting. Can't really blame our observers for missing that one, considering how far it was away from Jizuke's starting position.
Now they move over to the mid. Vitality still have a minute left on the Baron. Their eyes are set on this next objective. And it's been such a clean and efficient cleanup from the side of Vitality.
Well, we said it was a team that had a strong early game versus a team that really wanted to go to the late game. Vitality have shown us exactly that.
Yeah,
playing to their strengths.
Yesterday, no. Okay, that was a blip. We wanted to see if we could play late game. We kind of could. Now we're just going full early game. And you can see, with the advantage that they have, their goal here is just to disengage as much as possible. They have so much damage at their disposal that the moment Gilius arrives, it becomes an easy cleanup. And Splyce, they're just forced to go back. Kobe is able to get himself a bit of a return kill, utilizing the trap to lock up Gilius the moment he comes out of Zhonya's. But Vitality, they get what they wanted, which was the second inhibitor. That bottom inhib should be respawning relatively soon, but Vitality, their eyes are on more kills. Perhaps they want to get themselves the next Drake before they end the game. A Mountain would be nice to add to the list of triple Infernal.
I'm hoping they don't, because if they finish this game off in the next 3 minutes, they have the fastest game of the split. It will be another accolade to add to their long list of achievements thus far this split. You have to remember, they only have G2 left to take down for the first half of the EU LCS split, having defeated everyone else in their path, apart from, of course, Misfits earlier on.
And given G2's upward trajectory, that just builds even more hype for next week's matchup, where G2 and Vitality face off. It's certainly going to be an exciting one. I do believe that is next Friday. But for now, Splyce still trying to do their best to hold on. Caitlyn has hit 3 items, but I feel it's a little bit late for that. There's always that semblance of hope. Let's see what Kobe can do. He's carried this team before. Splyce have been able to stall out. They did it against the Unicorns of Love, but this will definitely be an impressive base defense if they could stop the overwhelming power that Vitality are bringing.
Jizuke tried to jump in there. Looks like he's had to flash across the wall, as he did take a lot of damage from Hobbin, from the rest of Splyce. Cabochard splitting down towards the bottom side of this. Vitality no longer have the Baron buff, so they're waiting for minion waves to come in. Gilius is going to leap across to try and clear out this control ward. Inhib spawns in the bottom lane. Cabochard will try and deal with that one, as the rest of Vitality continue to push in the mid lane. Cabochard with a 2-level advantage over Odo here, who has not really had the chance to impact this game as much as he would have liked. He's had a couple of good plays, but really unable to find the form that he was known for in the past. Capo on these aggressive top laners has been so much stronger as he goes in for Odo 1 lane once again. Cannon Barrage, Flash Parlay doesn't quite kill him. So he gets healed up. Cabochard now needs to try and get away with Gilius there as well. Turret falls in the mid lane, and Vitality can just look for these inhibitors.
By Capo forcing the 1v1 in the bottom lane, that forced many members of Splyce to move away and try and help Odo Omne out in the bot side, which has allowed Trupax to secure himself another inhibitor. Only one left for Vitality before they start making their way onto the Nexus.
50 seconds left for them to get the fastest game as well. You can sense that they want it as Gilius jumps in with a counter-strike. Jizuke up towards the top side as well. The hook does not quite connect. All 3 inhibs are down, and Vitality just need to get through those Nexus turrets. Will they continue to push forward?
For the time being, it looks like they're going to back away. Splyce looking for a possible engage. They found Gilius.
Yeah, Gilius is going to die here. Niski with a great shuffle in. Slides his way on towards the guard and takes him out.
Ruining fantasy points for so many Vitality fans. Such good records across.
Oh no, I have Gilius in my team.
Oh, no.
And I'm playing against you.
I also have Reckless, who went like 10-1 yesterday.
And you've got mini Trupax.
I do. Oh. Great week for me in fantasy. Let's see if Vitality continue to rack up those points. For the time being, they've secured 3 inhibs. I think their eyes will next be on the Baron. That could be Splyce's opportunity. Maybe a Baron steal. We've seen it happen before.
Even if that happens, though, can they actually delay this push from Vitality? Because
it's a good
you've
question.
Got Void Staff Seraphs completed on mini Trupax. You've got almost a Rabadons on Jizuke as well. Gilius has now got Triforce and the Abyssal Adaptive Helm to keep himself even tankier. It just doesn't look like Splyce have the answers, although you do have that 3-item Caitlyn and 3 items complete on Niski as well.
So I think it's important to look at levels when you're in this kind of the game state, because often one of the big things about snowballing is when you have such a massive level advantage over your opponent, the raw stats and like the gold value that you get from it is pretty significant. Now in the top lane you can see a pretty big differential, but Niski's actually level 17. Kobe is level 16. So the 2 primary carries of Splyce are still quite strong. But they don't feel strong enough right now to contest this Baron, and they don't want to run the risk. So instead, they're just going to use the narrow path of their base to try and hold off as much as they can. And let's see how cleanly Vitality can close this one out, or if Splyce can successfully defend their base.
Definitely being patient thus far is what we wanted to see from them. Only needing 9 kills. Hasn't been a bloody affair, has more been about just taking those towers, getting the leads. 9 turrets to 0. Still a 14,000 gold lead for Vitality, continues to extend bit by bit. And now with the Baron buff, they can push towards this top lane inhibitor, which has respawned, and Splyce are just going to be pulled around their base. Can they react? Can they find a way to stop Vitality in their tracks? Because Vitality this split have looked unstoppable.
This is one of the harder bits. We've seen multiple teams hold the line here before, as Zia Caitlyn still has a lot of wave clear. Vitality, they need to walk all 3 lanes in at the same time, overwhelm their opposition. Here we go, they're forcing a fight.
Nemo played down towards the bottom side. Jizuke trying to get away the paddle star as well. Odo using Sanguine Pool, but Gillies is going to jump back in. Jack Troll cannot hit the hook, and Vitality chasing it. Mega Inferno Bomb. There's the Cannon Barrage as well. Gillies wants the kill. Odo's down, and now Vitality are pushing for the Nexus Towers. Jizuke almost dies, but he gets a Locket Shield. Kobe the next target. Gillies tanking it up. Jack Troll's going to fall 1-for-1 now as Splyce somehow hold on, and Vitality are going to have to back away, but Cabochard is level 18. They're looking for another inhibitor here. And those super minions pushing in will stop Splyce in their tracks for now.
A lot of ultimates were used on the side of Vitality, which is making them a little uneasy to continue with the push. They do get one...
Kobe!
And a huge crit comes out from Kobe, shuts down Jizuke. And Splyce will be able to continue the hold of their base for now.
Maybe a little bit over eager. Maybe Vitality were taking flights.
I don't know if that was over
quite
eagerness. I feel like that their goal there was to punish the engage from Odo Omne when they didn't really need to. Odo tried to kill Jizuke, he failed, and they should have just let him back off at that point, and then knowing that they had a man advantage, they should have used that as an opportunity to try and take the second Nexus Tower and maybe even the game. With about a minute still left on it, Vitality have plenty of time. They can just reset up, continue the poke and harassment they have from both the Zoe and the Ziggs. But Splyce showing that they're not completely out of this game yet. The base defense continues. The wave clear is still there. We can have a quick look at. He gets the headshot.
Oh, that's just good play.
Well played there from Kobe.
That's the reason he is the main carry on this team at the moment. That's the big reason they put so many resources into him. Is he can do things like that. Niski's had a good game as well. Almost 100 CS over Jizuke now on this Azir. And
a guitar solo.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need a bit of a guitar solo.
Yeah, you know, you say Niski. We should get some guitar solos sometime.
You play guitar, don't you?
It's true. I'll write you a guitar solo one day.
Okay. I used to play acoustic guitar.
Nice.
I play clarinet as well, which is not the sexiest instrument in the world.
But it's an instrument, and I'll give you that.
I wanted to play saxophone, but my school wouldn't let me. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Splyce and Vitality here. Standoff at the inhibitor line. Jizuke, mini True Packs, and Jack Troll trying to push in towards this mid lane. They will secure that. Down towards the bottom side, though. Odo Omne's jumped onto Gilius, who's trying to leave strike his way away. Kobe can't quite get there. And the Dark Passage gets Gilius to safety.
He's now forced very low. Gonna go back to base. I believe that mid inhibitor is still respawning.
It just died.
It just died. My apologies. Yeah, that was just taken from Vitality. But still 2 there for Splyce. And again, look at the levels. Odo Omne now level 17. 3 items completed, working towards his 4th, which I imagine will be the Zhonya's. A lot of control wards being picked up by them as well. They have these wards littered through the entrances of their jungle. But it's only a waiting game now for Vitality, because Elder Drake spawns in about a minute's time. And I don't know if you've ever played against an Elder Drake triple Infernal, but it's not fun, Medic.
And the Mountain helps out quite a bit as well.
Yeah, that too.
You do just get the bonus, I think it's plus 45 true damage over the 3 seconds per dragon that you get. That's a pretty darn beefy dragon if Vitality can secure it. And they've secured pretty much everything thus far. 10 towers to 0. Still only 14,000 gold in the lead, though. Not often you get to say that, and Cabochard has been caught out of position because Singh doesn't land the Fisher. It goes the wrong way, and Cabochard gets his way away.
But this time around, Vitality weren't in a position to punish the numbers invested up towards the top side.
I feel like that was just a misplay from Kasing.
I mean, yeah, his ult went the wrong way. That is often...
He also exhausted after using the Winter's Bite, which makes it harder to hit.
What a silly Billy.
Should have played Zillion. I think that's what we've learned thus far this game. He's got a Raptor's Cloak, so I want to see what he builds that into as well as the game continues to progress. Vitality setting up around this Elder Drake. Their next win condition is on the board. Xerxes going to try and spot it out. He's still only level 15 to Gillies is level 17. Control wards abound here for Vitality.
It's going to be really difficult for Splyce to engage. Look at all the cleanses, Medic. 3 on the side of Vitality, plus the oranges on the Gangplank. Means that Gillies is really the only target you can engage upon if you're Splyce. And in a Smite vs Fight situation, that might be the best target to go for. Take the Smite out of the fight and then maybe secure it for yourself. But for Splyce, their focus right now is just reclaiming some control over the map. They've been able to get a couple of wards towards this Elder Drake area. Kobe is going up towards the top side, but he does have teleport still, which means that if a fight were to kick off, Splyce would be able to answer.
Just going to clear out some more vision here. We have started to creep towards the later portion of this game. The Elder Drake has been started. Jizuke is going to get spotted here. TP used as well from Splyce. That's Kobe coming in to join the fight. And Vitality, they had a great mid-game spike. They had a lot of strength, but now it's Splyce who are the ones taking the aggressive play. Jizuke jumps in. Drowsy only lands on towards Kasing. Kobe flashes forward. The Elder Drake resets. Splyce now need to reset themselves because Vitality are on the prowl. Cabo Shard is pushing up towards that top lane. Elder Drake still only about 5,000 HP. Gilius is going to try and do it. Cabo going for the in-hit back door here. Might be able to close out the game if this game goes on long enough. Once again, the sleep taken by Kasing. Odo and Kobe going to back away. Doesn't have the TPs, of course. Niski looking for the steal here with Xerxes. Elder Drake resets once again.
Vitality playing the patient game now.
Oh, that's a lot of damage from Mini Trupax on Niski. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. Jizuke is going to jump the wall as well. Now the Elder Drake can be secured for Vitality. Good patience from them to set up this play.
They utilized the poke from Mini Trupax and Jizuke while also taking advantage of the fact that Cabo was splitting in the enemy base. Very good and smart play there from Vitality. Splyce were really stuck between a rock and a hard place. They had to find an engage. Xerxes couldn't find one onto multiple cleanses. And they either just had to secure the Elder Drake or go back to base. And what they ended up doing was neither really. And now they're on track to lose both the Elder and the Baron.
3 people, and they took that in about 4 seconds. That's pretty darn devastating. Vitality, Elder Drake, Baron, Triple Infernal, and a Mountain. It's Mount Doom coming down on towards Splyce. And they have to be very, very afraid. They need to find a way out. They need to find the one ring that will rule this game for them.
I don't know if a ring will save them, but a good team fight would certainly help.
How do you find a good team fight into this Vitality lineup?
Well, the thing about Vitality is now that they're in the base, they kind of have to clump up, right? Which is exactly what Splyce want. When you have Vladimir, Azir, Sejuani, Braum too, a lot of AoE damage, and Caitlyn can just start cleaning up in these extended fights. Vitality have to slowly find picks like this, get a bit of poke damage down.
And Sing's gonna... Oh!
That's one kind of poke that I'm talking about. Vitality secure a very quick kill.
And Ono is gonna get caught out as well. Could be 2. He has to Sanguine Pool, but Jack Drop jumps in. Jizuke there as well, and you can hear Vitality following on the stage. They're going to clean out this game. Just need to take out those inhibitors. Xerxes and Kobe trying to make a final stand, but they just don't have enough to keep themselves alive here against Vitality. The Nexus Tower falls, and Vitality are going to go 7-1 at the top of the EU LCS. After they killed Xerxes, after they cleaned up Splyce, after they defeated everyone, they'll take down the Nexus.
Vitality with a dominant performance over Splyce.
Incredibly strong stuff. Splyce, of course, on the other side, just weren't able to get to that late game that they really, really wanted.
I mean, they never had an opportunity to. Vitality, they put a lot of coal into the hype train this morning, and I felt like went just straight through every wall that got in its way. I love the draft, I love the play, I love the continued confidence that we're seeing Vitality, and they go into next week, the halfway point, 7-1.
I think a lot of people wondered if this was just a first week triumph, a second week triumph, you know, a team that really comes out of the gate swinging and then falls off. Doesn't look like Vitality are going to do that at all. Soon they'll be in the territory of just having mathematically secured themselves a playoff spot because they've won so many games and lost so few.
And Splyce, I felt like that whole draft was telegraphed and predicted and immediately responded to. The Ziggs pick to answer the Caitlyn, the early Thresh to answer the Zillion. Everything came up clean for the side of Vitality. Innovation continues from these guys. Every time you think they're figured out, nope, they have a new strat. We saw the TPing AD carry. We saw the Malzahar roaming into lane with a Jack split push. Now we've seen the Ziggs AD carry. What more do they have left in the tank, Medic?
It's the question that you have to ask yourself. For this game, we've selected Cabochard, Mini Trupax, and Jizuke. as your options for player of the game. Make sure you check out @LOL Esports on Twitter, where you can decide who comes out on top. And be sure to join us after the break, when we will find out the winner. And the thing I think about Vitality as well is here, Vedius, that we've seen teams try different strategies. We've seen Misfits do it, we've seen G2 do it, Fnatic do it a couple of times. But Vitality seem to make every strategy they try work out on the first try.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because they know exactly what they need to do once they get into game, and they're not afraid to make those plays happen. Even if they go wrong, which so far very rarely happens, they keep making these plays. They keep trying to be as proactive as possible. And then you tie that in with the amount of individual talent on this roster, and you have a lineup that's just built to succeed.
That flash in for the actual auto attack at the end. And it's not just a macro game. It's not just these guys playing incredibly well as a team. It's people like Cabochard standing up and being counted when it matters. He's playing a much more aggressive style of this split, and he's making plays like that to just work out so well.
It's really fun to watch for this team, and unfortunately for Splyce, the late game style that they typically draft got heavily punished. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and see if they can find something different, but they'll go another 1-1 week. They still sit in the middle of the pack. Definitely not a bad position to be in as we approach the halfway mark for Splyce.
Not at all. 4-4 is a reputable score.
And I definitely feel like there's a lot to be learned from this game. It's definitely something that Vitality have a lot of unique strats and need to be able to adapt on the fly, but you can't really blame them, you know? Like, this caught a lot of people, it caught us off guard. We were struggling, it's like, how does Ziggs fit into this composition exactly? But it didn't take us very long to figure out.
I think Vitality showed us how. I don't think we can give ourselves any credit for working that one out.
Very, very true.
We're going to get Vitality's thoughts on that win, actually. We're going to hand it over to Law and Gilius and Jizuke on the interview bench.
Thank you very much, Melik. I will take it from here. Isaac was joined by Jizuke and Gilius after their second win of the week. Guys, 7-1 in the standings. How do you reflect on those 4 weeks? Jizuke?
I think yesterday we played pretty bad, but today we showed the team that we are for the past 3 weeks.
And, well, we hear so much about your confidence in game, but what you guys work on in the gaming house to be so good? Gilius?
I mean, we take our confidence from our practice. It's not like we're just talking shit for no reason. We are working really hard, I think harder than any other team, and it's showing on stage.
Yeah, and it shows so much aggressivity. Jizuke, it's your first year in the LCS. How do you explain you're so aggressive even though you're new?
I don't know, I think, as Jiri said, if your practice goes good, and you are confident about yourself, you can't really choke on stage, like if you're confident about yourself. So I just have fun, I know my potential, and I just play, yeah.
About confidence, I want to talk to you about the tweets you did earlier about Xasi. What do you think about him as a player compared to you, style-wise?
I actually praised Xax in the past a lot, so I was pretty surprised that he tweeted that shit at me. I mean, now after he lost, he just looks like a clown, so...
Okay. A bit harsh, but still. You guys, you have like one team to go next. It will be G2. After that, you will have beaten almost every team in LCS. How will you prep for this one?
I think G2 is actually... Oh, was it your question?
No, it's both of you. You can start
okay.
and then you go.
I think I'm really excited to face G2, actually. I think they are one of the stronger teams right now. And Perks and Junkos are actually going to give us a challenge in the 2v2 mid-jungle.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, but I think we're going to destroy them.
And Jizuke, how are you feeling about going against Perks?
Yeah, I'm excited to play against Perks. I proved myself against Caps and Nukduct. Now it's time for Perks, I guess.
Well, time for him, and it will be next week. Thanks for the guys for joining me today. And we're going to take a short break, but right after that, it will be Schalke 04 against H2K. Don't go anywhere.
Into the hook as well from Jack Jolly. Now comes down. They're looking for the kill on Kobe. Can they get the first one? They secure it. For a paddle start, Gilius is on the way as well. Niski needs to try and get away from this. The paddle start connects. One more auto would be enough. Sassy here with the block. Jizuke jumps in. That's a great kill for Vitality.
Hot top, hot top.
Get mid.
I'm gonna get to bot maybe.
Oh,
what the fuck?
fucking beast. Should I kill us, yeah? What the fuck? No, bad for shot.
He's going to jump the wall, and that will be a dead